And JD Vance, our vice president.
JD Vance, to all of you, I was at a loss. What could I say that hasn't already been said before?
And you have amazing role models like...
Or two, some people say you were actually a Mossad agent sitting in front of me, and you were Charlie's handler, and Israel killed Charlie.
Usha Vance has finally broken her silence, and the internet is absolutely losing its mind. For weeks, the vice president's wife has been a ghost, silent, absent, and noticeably missing from the spotlight, while rumors about her husband, JD Vance, and Charlie Kirk's widow, Erika Kirk, reached a fever pitch. But now, insiders say Usha is ready to talk, and what she allegedly knows could blow the lid off the entire Turning Point USA scandal. From that viral hug between JD and Erika that sparked affair rumors to the bizarre power couple dynamics forming in the wake of Charlie's tragedy, Usha has reportedly been watching from the shadows. Why did she suddenly vanish from campaign events? Why are sources claiming she feels used for optics? And most explosively, does she hold the key to understanding the dark timeline of events leading up to Charlie's passing? With Candace Owens dropping hints about loyalty dying and Erika Kirk acting more like a brand ambassador than a grieving widow, Usha Vance might just be the quiet storm that destroys the narrative. Buckle up, because the silence is over, and the fallout is going to be wild. Usha Vance has finally stepped into the spotlight, or rather, the lack of her presence has become the biggest story in the room. Many online believe she might be the one who truly knows what happened behind the scenes before Charlie Kirk's passing, especially now that the entire conversation around JD Vance and Erika Kirk has taken a wild turn.
Of my closest friends, do I hope eventually that she is somehow moved by the same thing that I was moved in by church? Yeah, I honestly do wish that, because I believe in the Christian gospel, and I hope eventually my wife comes to see it the same way.
Nikki's recent comments about JD Vance and ASAP didn't help things at all. That clip spread fast, and the moment it did, people started digging, pulling up old interviews, archived footage, and forgotten moments that suddenly looked a lot more suspicious. Then came the claims that Erika might have used a tear-inducing solution before going on stage at Charlie's memorial, and that sent social media into overdrive. Ever since then, her calm, camera-ready presence has raised eyebrows everywhere. Instead of seeing someone mourning, people say she's giving full-on performance energy, polished, poised, and always ready for the lens. And if anyone could really break the silence about what went down, many now believe it's JD's wife, Usha Vance. So, how did Usha's name get tangled in all this chaos? It all started with that viral moment. The JD Vance and Erika Kirk hug at the Turning Point USA event.
Why are we making Christianity one of the major things that you have to have in common to be one of you guys, to show that I love America just as much as you do?
That clip lit up timelines everywhere and sparked rumors that JD and Usha might be facing serious tension in their marriage. People think the clash runs deeper than gossip. It's cultural too. Erika is loudly and proudly Christian, always putting faith front and center. She wears her religion like armor. Usha, on the other hand, practices Hinduism. She is deeply devoted to her beliefs and not afraid to stand by them. But when you look at JD's political rise and the image he's been trying to build, Usha doesn't exactly fit the traditional mold his supporters expect. To make it even more complicated, JD once made comments on live TV about wishing she'd convert and start attending church, something that didn't sit right with a lot of people. He said, "Of my closest friends, do I hope eventually that she is somehow moved by the same thing that I was moved in by church? Yeah, I do wish that, because I believe in the Christian gospel, and I hope eventually my wife comes to see it the same way." It gave the whole situation a strange, uneasy edge that's only fueling more speculation now. That clip doesn't lie. The tension is absolutely there, and it's not hard to see why things feel so strange right now. Usha is an Indian-born immigrant woman, and let's be honest, that doesn't exactly blend easily with the image JD's been trying to project lately. He's been leaning into a hardline right-wing Christian persona, clearly polishing up his brand for what many think could be a future presidential run. And for anyone claiming a divorce would destroy his image, come on. The current political landscape has already proven that voters don't really care about how many marriages someone's had. What they care about are the optics, the message, and loyalty to the movement. Now, here's where it gets tricky. When a Hindu public figure was attacked online just for posting a simple Happy Diwali, it showed exactly how fragile that dynamic can be. So, it's not a stretch for people to believe that JD might see Usha's background and beliefs as inconvenient to his political story. That's what's fueling a new theory. If Usha has felt pushed aside, disrespected, or even used for appearances, would she eventually decide to speak up? Some online think yes, especially if she ever believed JD and Erika were closer emotionally or strategically than they ever admitted in public. And when you look back, those clues have been there all along, hiding in plain sight. Erika, who people expected to be heartbroken, seemed to bounce back with unbelievable speed. She took over business roles, made power moves, and stepped into the spotlight like nothing could shake her. She was polished. She controlled the narrative and quickly aligned herself with top political insiders, all while the public was still processing what happened. Meanwhile, JD didn't hold back his support. Reports claim he personally stepped in to help the Kirks after Charlie's passing, even arranging for Air Force Two to handle the transport of Charlie's body. That move stunned people and made the connection between JD and the Kirks look stronger than ever, and maybe even too strong for comfort. JD didn't just step in quietly. He helped organize what many now describe as a full-scale political rally disguised as a memorial. Cameras flashing, big names everywhere, and Erika front and center in leather pants, perfectly styled, not a single tear out of place. It didn't look like heartbreak. It looked like a stage performance. Then came the moment that really sent people spinning. Less than 24 hours after Charlie's passing, Erika was already giving interviews, delivering statements, and making appearances like nothing could shake her. Calm, confident, perfectly composed. And it left people stunned. Most would still be in shock, barely able to speak. But Erika? She seemed fully in control, and that made the whole thing feel off. Many online now say she didn't just survive the moment, she used it. They claim she leaned straight into the sympathy wave, gaining attention and power, while everyone else was still emotional. And the biggest irony? She's now on social media lecturing women about being traditional wives while building a massive public image off her late husband's name. The internet didn't miss that contradiction for a second. That's why people are starting to believe the marriage may not have been as picture-perfect as it looked. Some even think it was more strategic, maybe even transactional, built for influence rather than romance. And here's where the speculation really picks up speed. Many online have been pointing out that her connection to Charlie might trace all the way back to her Miss Arizona pageant days. They believe a major political figure may have helped introduce her into that world long before the public ever caught on. If that's true, then the backlash against Erika today isn't just about grief or timing. It's about intention. People are questioning what her real motives might have been all along. And right when things couldn't get any louder, Candace Owens jumped into the mix. She's been relentlessly vocal ever since Charlie's passing, not holding back, not sugarcoating a thing. She's openly questioned the official story, calling out what she believes are misleading statements from inside Turning Point itself. At one point, she even said, "I'm going to tell you another stunning Turning Point lie." And that line stopped people cold. It's not the kind of thing you throw out lightly when you're talking about someone who just passed. She didn't stop there. She doubled down, saying, people should really look at who's suddenly mourning Charlie so loudly, because according to her, the biggest tribute right now seems to be pretending rather than telling the truth. Those were her words, not mine. And that's exactly when the situation spiraled even further out of control. Usha Vance has been watching all of this. The questions about loyalty, the awkward hugs, the power couple vibes forming between her husband and the new widow on the block. And for a woman as intelligent as Usha, a Yale-educated lawyer who knows exactly how optics work, her sudden disappearance speaks volumes. Is she stepping back to protect herself? Or is she preparing to drop a truth bomb that will shatter the entire narrative? Candace started bringing up what she described as a major rift between Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard, pointing to unverified reports that Patel might have blocked a potential investigation into possible foreign ties linked to Charlie's case. It's a theory she's been circling for months, though to be clear, no official evidence has been released to back it up. Now, these are still just allegations, unconfirmed speculation, and nothing that's been proven in court or verified publicly. But the fact that Candace said it at all carried serious weight because she wasn't just another commentator. Like, she and Charlie were close, like genuinely close. And that's exactly why some people online believe she's holding back. They think if she pushed the theory any harder, the spotlight might shift onto her, and people could start asking uncomfortable questions about how close that friendship really was. But here's the thing. The internet doesn't do subtlety. It takes one post, one soundbite, and suddenly the whole narrative explodes. Which brings us right back to Erika. At one point, the tension between Candace and Erika got so heavy that Erika publicly tweeted she wanted a closed-door meeting with Candace, saying she was ready to talk things out, clear the air, and finally end all the wild rumors and online conspiracies once and for all. But instead of calming things down, that tweet did the exact opposite. It made people wonder, if there's really nothing wrong, why address it at all? Why invite that kind of spotlight? And that tweet was supposed to smooth things over, but instead, it cracked everything wide open. The moment Erika publicly said she wanted a private meeting with Candace, social media went wild. People started dissecting every word, every emoji, every like and retweet tied to that post. Suddenly, it wasn't just gossip anymore. It was a full-blown digital showdown between two women who had both been close to Charlie in completely different ways. What really stirred the pot was the silence that followed. Candace didn't respond right away. Not with a yes, not with a no, nothing. Days went by and she stayed quiet. But that silence spoke volumes. People began speculating that the closed-door talk might have already happened privately, or worse, that Candace didn't want it at all because she didn't trust what might come out of it. Some even claimed insiders were warning her that Erika's team was preparing to record the conversation to twist her words and flip the script in their favor. And let's be real, the internet eats this kind of tension alive. Threads popped up everywhere with users analyzing old videos, dissecting body language between Erika and Candace at past turning point events. Some pointed out that the smiles between them had always seemed a bit forced. Others replayed clips from before Charlie's passing, where Candace would say things like, "Some people are too comfortable playing the victim." And fans now believe that might have been a veiled jab at Erika. Then came the most chilling twist, an alleged leak. Around 2 weeks after Erika's tweet, screenshots started floating around from a supposed group chat involving Turning Point staffers. The messages, though never confirmed, showed people arguing over whether the organization should publicly defend Erika or stay silent until things cooled down. One message in particular stood out. Someone reportedly said, "Let her handle the optics herself. It's cleaner that way." That line sent people spinning because it sounded so cold, so calculated, almost like Erika was being managed as a brand, not as a grieving widow. If that leak was even halfway real, it paints a picture that's hard to ignore. A carefully controlled narrative where grief, image, and politics all blurred together. At the same time, Erika started appearing more frequently at political events, often seated near high-profile figures, smiling confidently as if the online chaos didn't exist. She wasn't hiding. If anything, she was doubling down. She posted new photo shoots, gave more interviews, and even launched a mini speaking tour about faith, leadership, and legacy. To her supporters, it was empowering. But to critics, it looked like she was turning tragedy into a career move. And through all this, people couldn't help but notice that Usha Vance had gone almost completely silent. No statements, no appearances, no interviews, nothing. The same woman who had once been by JD's side at campaign events was suddenly off the grid. But silence doesn't erase speculation. In fact, it made it louder. A few online sleuths dug into public records and noticed something interesting. Usha's name wasn't listed on a few recent political event rosters where she used to be a regular presence. That detail alone sent rumor pages into overdrive. The theory? That she was distancing herself not just from JD's growing political circle, but from Erika too. Because maybe, just maybe, she knew too much about what went down behind the scenes and wanted no part in it anymore. Around that same time, someone resurfaced an old clip of Charlie and JD at a Turning Point panel. In it, JD joked about power couples in the movement. And while the audience laughed, Charlie had this brief look, a kind of awkward, half-forced smile that many viewers now interpret as discomfort. Some even say JD's tone that day hinted at something deeper, like there was more to that friendship than politics. That's when the phrase power couple politics started trending. People began to connect dots between Erika's newfound confidence, JD's positioning for a national role, and the eerie timing of how fast everything shifted after Charlie's passing. What was once a supportive friendship now looked, at least to outsiders, like a perfectly aligned power move. And then came Candace again, pouring gasoline on the fire with another cryptic statement during one of her live streams. She didn't name names, but she said, "When loyalty dies, truth starts whispering." Viewers immediately took it as another reference to the Turning Point chaos. Comments exploded with people asking if she meant Erika or JD or both. And when Candace didn't deny it, that silence was enough to keep the rumor mill alive for weeks. Meanwhile, Erika's public image started to shift. Her posts became glossier, more curated. The captions were full of empowerment quotes and spiritual undertones, but her tone had changed. She no longer mentioned Charlie much. It was as if she had transitioned from widow to brand ambassador for herself. Critics accused her of rewriting the story, turning pain into a PR opportunity. Supporters defended her, saying she was honoring his memory by continuing his mission. But deep down, everyone could feel that something about the energy had changed drastically. Usha's name popped up again when a journalist claimed that she had quietly met with a former Turning Point staffer in D.C. just weeks before resigning from a nonprofit board. No one could confirm what that meeting was about, but it added to the growing sense that major players were distancing themselves from the chaos before something bigger dropped. Then, just when the whole situation seemed to be cooling off, a new wave hit. A mysterious post appeared on Twitter, allegedly from someone claiming to have been a part of Turning Point's internal media team. The post said, "There are emails and they prove everything." That was it. No screenshots, no attachments, but enough to send everyone into detective mode. Comment sections filled up instantly with theories. Some said it was fake clout chasing. Others claimed it was a teaser for a real leak that could blow the story open. Either way, it put Erika, JD, and even Candace right back in the center of online attention. And through it all, Usha stayed quiet, which at this point might be the loudest statement of all. Because silence in a storm like this doesn't mean peace. It means waiting, watching, calculating, and maybe, just maybe, preparing to speak when it hurts the most. By the end of that month, what started as whispers about grief had turned into a full-blown narrative war. Every move was being analyzed. Every post, every photo, every handshake. The lines between loyalty and ambition had completely blurred. And whether it's fair or not, the internet had already decided. This wasn't just about loss anymore. This was about legacy, politics, and power. Three things that never mix cleanly and never ever stay buried for long. By the time the online storm reached its peak, the energy around Erika, JD, and Usha had shifted into something far darker. What began as quiet murmurs about grief and image had now exploded into a full-blown power struggle, not just between people, but between versions of the truth. Everyone seemed to have a story, a screenshot, or a whisper from someone on the inside, and every day brought a new wave of so-called receipts. Erika's team, of course, tried to stay ahead of it. She started posting heavily about forgiveness, moving forward, and trusting God's timing, all while dropping photos that looked like they were straight out of a lifestyle magazine. Perfect lighting, perfect outfits, perfect smiles. It was giving rebranding, not recovery. And while some people praised her for staying strong, others called it tone deaf. They couldn't understand how someone could move so gracefully through tragedy while staying camera-ready at every turn. Meanwhile, JD Vance's silence was becoming its own storyline. He hadn't addressed any of it publicly. Not the hug, not the funeral, not the growing tension between Erika and Candace. Nothing. And that silence spoke louder than any statement could. Political insiders whispered that his advisors had told him to lay low until the situation blew over. But behind the scenes, people said Usha wasn't happy about that plan. According to a few online reports, Usha had quietly attended a private event in Cincinnati where she was overheard saying she felt used, not for love, but for optics. Whether that's true or not, it fueled the narrative that she was distancing herself, not just emotionally, but politically too. People began saying she'd had enough of being the supportive wife in a movement that never really accepted her because of her faith. And honestly, that theory hit hard for a lot of people watching this unfold. Then came a strange twist. A small podcast claimed that an anonymous source within Turning Point had leaked emails hinting that certain image management decisions were made the same week as Charlie's passing. One email allegedly said, "We can't let the brand collapse emotionally. Keep her visible." Viewers connected the dots immediately. Her had to be Erika. If that leak was real, it meant someone had made a calculated decision to keep Erika in front of cameras, even when she might have wanted to step back. That single rumor reignited everything. People started calling it Operation Halo, a nickname that started trending online to describe the supposed plan to protect the organization's image by framing Erika as the face of strength and faith after tragedy. It didn't take long before clips, tweets, and memes exploded all over social media again. Candace, of course, didn't stay quiet. She went live one evening and dropped a line that sent chills down everyone's spine. She said, "You can't control the narrative forever. Truth always leaks." That was all she said. No names, no direct accusations, but everyone knew exactly who she was talking about. It was like watching a chess game where every move carried tension. Erika was trying to play the graceful queen. Candace was swinging like a knight from the shadows. And JD and Usha? They were caught somewhere in between, holding their own secrets close. At the same time, people started noticing Erika's tone online shifting again. Gone were the long captions about loss and healing. Now, it was short quotes about power, independence, and self-worth. You owe no one your silence. Faith over fear. Some chapters end for your growth. To her fans, it was motivation. To her critics, it sounded like coded messaging, a way to take subtle jabs without naming names. And just when people thought things couldn't get more tangled, another shock hit. Someone posted a short clip that appeared to show Erika and JD at a private donor event just weeks before the controversy reignited. They weren't alone, but the clip showed them in close conversation, laughing, talking privately for nearly 2 minutes. The setting looked casual, friendly, maybe too friendly for two people surrounded by this much speculation. It didn't take long before that video was clipped, slowed down, and analyzed frame by frame. Look at his hand placement. Watch her body language. The internet turned into a digital courtroom overnight. Some said it proved nothing. Others swore it confirmed everything. Either way, it reignited all the questions about where loyalty, grief, and ambition really intersect in this tangled web. JD's team reportedly went into crisis mode after that clip spread. Within hours, political pages were flooded with posts reminding people that JD and his wife are happily married, and rumors are distractions from real issues. But that kind of statement only made things worse, because everyone could see what wasn't being said. Meanwhile, Usha remained the ghost in the background, silent, graceful, and entirely unpredictable. Some online fans started calling her the quiet storm, saying she was too intelligent to act impulsively, that when she finally spoke, it would shake the whole story apart. Whether that's fantasy or truth, it shows how deeply the internet has turned her silence into its own kind of myth. By now, even people who had nothing to do with politics were following the saga like a serialized drama. Every week brought new theories, new edits, and new leaks. Real or not, it didn't even matter anymore. The story had taken on a life of its own. At this point, what used to be about loss had evolved into something else entirely. A twisted intersection of image, power, and personal ambition. Erika seemed to be turning into a symbol of reinvention, while Candace stood as the voice of defiance. JD balanced between politics and loyalty, and Usha quietly held all the intrigue without saying a single word. And that's what makes this entire story so gripping. Not the noise, not the headlines, but the silence between them. Because sometimes it's not what's said in public that tells the truth. It's what's never said at all. And speaking of conspiracies, wow, there are plenty swirling around Erika right now, and none of them make her look good. Some corners of the internet claim she wasn't just Charlie's wife, but his handler. Others take it even further, spinning wild stories that she was somehow connected to secret intelligence operations, even calling her a spy for foreign interests. It got so intense that she actually had to address it during an interview, brushing it off as nonsense. Still, no proof, no solid evidence, just wild theories flying everywhere. But here's the thing. Once someone gets labeled as fake, as too polished, too composed, or too strategic after a tragedy, those kinds of theories start sticking like glue. When people already think your tears are staged, every move you make starts looking like part of a performance. And that's exactly why these rumors have exploded the way they have. It doesn't help that Erika publicly forgave the man accused of taking Charlie's life. A gesture many said was deeply Christian and full of grace. No one's questioning that forgiveness is powerful, but the timing and tone of it caught people off guard. Because when there are already whispers that maybe the situation involved more than one person, that there could have been others behind the scenes, that forgiveness starts feeling complicated. Forgiving one person is one thing, but forgiving a whole situation? That's a different story altogether. And that's where the unease really begins. Because as more pieces of this puzzle fall into place, it's not hard to see why people are side-eyeing everything. Erika's name keeps showing up beside JD Vance at events, in photos, on stage. The two seem to move in sync now, often appearing in the same circles, sometimes even standing shoulder to shoulder in public moments that feel a little too perfectly timed. Meanwhile, Usha Vance, the quiet, steady presence who once stood beside JD everywhere, is suddenly nowhere to be found. No public appearances, no statements, no casual cameos. It's like she's faded completely out of the frame. And when people online notice something like that, they start asking hard questions. Now, does any of this prove that Erika and JD had anything to do with what happened to Charlie? Absolutely not. But perception is powerful, and the way things look right now has a lot of people talking about guilt, complicity, and cover-ups. Whether that's fair or not, the truth is this story has crossed a line where facts and feelings have become almost impossible to separate. The internet loves to connect dots, even ones that don't belong together. But when patterns start forming on their own, when the timing of every move feels just a bit too convenient, it's no wonder people are feeling uneasy. Maybe this is all coincidence. Maybe it's something more. Either way, the tension around this story isn't fading. It's growing louder by the day. So, I have to ask you, what do you think is really going on? Is Usha Vance's silence a sign of dignity, or is it a sign that she knows something the rest of us don't? Do you believe the rumors about Operation Halo and the rebranding of Erika Kirk? Or is she just a strong woman navigating grief in the public eye? I want to hear your theories. Drop a comment below and let me know. Is the power couple narrative real? Or is the internet reading too much into a few photos? If you want to stay updated on every twist and turn of this saga, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. We are following this story closely, and you do not want to miss the next update. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next deep dive.